Theo Jackson. I'm at the 606 Club to promote our date on the 8th of May down here with some great musicians, and looking forward to chatting. The new record is very much early sketches at the moment. It's a little way off, but the material is starting to come together, and it's going to make up quite a significant part of the new set. So you'll hear a lot of that, and people that have seen us down here before, we've been quite regular, will hopefully see quite a new set, which is kind of nerve-wracking but quite exciting for me. And there'll be probably just one or two tunes from the old record. I don't think anything more than that. There are one or two which just still make me very happy, and other than that, I feel like I've moved on and I want to try some new stuff. Yeah, we were my saxophonist Nathaniel, who's playing on the date, and he was around my rehearsing yesterday, and we had this debate more or less whether it's a positive thing to try and describe different jazz genres within the overall oeuvre, whether it's a good thing to try and put labels on different musicians, and we couldn't decide between us, to be honest, whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. But I suppose it's helpful to people that haven't been down before, especially if you're coming to see someone like me who hopefully isn't too scary for newbies. Hopefully they're quite approachable and likable. Hopefully there's still enough musicality in there to sate the appetite of people that are jazz fans as well. When it comes to that, I don't exactly know how you define it, but my influences, and the early influences, the Stevie Wonders and Billy Joels and Bill Withers and the likes, are still kind of prevalent in my writing and my performance style. But then since I got into jazz, all kinds of other stuff has toyed with my brain and has got me interested in other musicians as well. And hopefully they come through strong as well. The likes of Andy Bay, the singer, and of Kurt Elling and Mark Murphy in terms of singers, and piano players ranging from Herbie Hancock through to Aaron Parks, or to all kinds of modern people as well. So they're kind of placed as a little sheet over the top of my older, more popular influences, I suppose. So hopefully a bit of mix of the two comes through. Yeah, I wrote an article about this just last week for the magazine which goes out for Cheltenham Jazz Festival, and I think what I basically try to say is that my approach to songwriting, or at least what I would try and teach people, is actually quite ambiguous. There's no correct method as such to writing a good song, and everybody's appreciation of a good song is different and is made upon a different set of criteria. So what I've been trying to instill in the few little workshops that I've done is that having a full or at least a decent understanding of music theory is never a bad thing, even if you choose not to use it so much. If you choose to go down a simpler route, having those tools at your disposal can be great. I think what I touched upon in that particular article is that I'd recently found some old songs of mine that were made when I was a teenager, and I wasn't particularly good, and I was very arrogant, and a lot of that arrogance still persists, but hopefully with a little bit more to back it up these days, hopefully. And so as part of this article, and as part of what I've been teaching, was be aware of your ego, because that might lie to you a little bit, but also, try and be proud of what you're doing, because there's no point trying to write songs and create something unless you feel at least an element of pride in what you're doing. So those are my sort of airy-fairy side of it, and then in the workshops we'll hopefully get into the more nitty-gritty and technical aspect of it as well. As regards to the other part of your question, do you approach it differently when writing a jazz song to writing a song in a different style? I can't say that I do, because I don't necessarily perceive genres when I'm writing it. I don't go out and set out to say, okay, I'm going to write a funk piece or a contemporary classical blah 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 blah. It's going to be just whatever pops into my head at the time, whichever idea arrives, and whatever I've been listening to recently, whatever has inspired me, kind of just lays the groundwork, and then I kind of get on with it, or I don't, and I have a coffee and fail in that particular bit of writing. But the truth is that there's no different state of mind which goes into writing a different style of music, at least in my method, I suppose you might loosely call it. So there's no difference. it's a slightly worrying thing for people of my age, musicians coming into it professionally, and younger musicians as well. In fact, really, pretty much for any musician, because you go out to the rural clubs, particularly across the UK, and you see an audience which is generally aging quite quickly by the looks of things, and they're all lovely people and they're very engaged and they're great audiences, but we need some people, preferably my age or younger, or to be taking an interest. And I don't see why that shouldn't happen, really. I mean, I was at this exhibition recently, and it was to do with jazz photography, and the people that were there, I overheard this conversation. There's this lady, and she was maybe about 35, 40, and she said, you know, I don't really like jazz. I've never found anything that I liked in jazz. And I kind of butted in a very rude way, and just said, look, if you haven't found anything you like within this music, then you just haven't looked hard enough, because it's such a wide oeuvre of music. There's so many different pockets to it, so many different styles within it, that I think if anybody listened to at least some of the breadth of the music, then there'll be something in there for absolutely everybody. I'm sure of that. It's an inclusive music. It's meant to be. It's meant to be something which draws the audiences in, hopefully gets them involved, converses with them, speaks with them, and it needs them to speak back. Otherwise, it's a little bit dead, to be honest, on stage. So in that respect, I'd have thought that it really, if people are open-minded to it, it gives back as much as they put in. So hopefully that will bring people in future. I hope so. I mean, I think one of the things that I've got on my side is that I'm speaking more specifically to teenagers, young adults, people that are, you know, at most 10 to 15 years younger than me. So I think hopefully I can undermine that cliche of all jazzers being grumpy old so-and-sos, and speak to them on a level which is which doesn't seem so far away from their own, hopefully. I'm not sure if that sounds right, but still, it's the idea. What I'm trying to do is speak to particularly young musicians about life as a professional musician, something they can relate to, and hopefully that'll get, again, like you're saying, more people of a younger age interested in the music that we love. There are tons, and I tend to try and get out to the jam sessions in London quite a lot, and all of a sudden we're seeing guys not just my age but considerably younger now, like 18, 19-year-olds coming out, and they're scary guys. I mean, they're really talented, and you think it seems to be just a stream of fantastic young jazz musicians coming out in the UK, which is incredibly exciting for the music, but we just need an audience for them to be seen by. They're helping fund some of the overheads, which is, it's incredibly kind of them. It's very, very useful to me. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't do very well out of this tour financially. But it's hard to start touring in the UK. It'll be my first national UK tour, and their help and sponsorship is going to go a long way towards making it hopefully a success. Yeah, I kind of think of it that way in terms of my first proper serious London gig was down here, and it coincided by pure chance with my 25th birthday, and actually what happened on the day is I guess I got a bit worried about it or something, but I stressed up, and I went weirdly I went temporarily deaf in one ear, and I had a complete sore throat. I couldn't sing anymore, which really gets rid of most of my act. So we managed to get by with me hoarsely croaking out some tunes, and it was the first time I'd ever met Nathaniel actually that night as well. So I felt a little bit of pressure coming to play the 606, which I had held in such high esteem, with Nathaniel, who I'd also held in such high esteem as well. And actually I could only hear him out of one ear, and I could only sing a token gesture a little bit. Still, we managed to get through, and hopefully it seemed like people had a good time, so I think that's why we got invited back. Or maybe it's just because I actually wanted to hear what it actually sounded like, I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, I hope in 50 years to be at that school anyway, so